introduced to the carbonyl group way back when in chapter 12 when we started looking at functional groups. So you remember a carbonyl group is a functional group that has a carbon atom double bonded to an oxygen, and a carbonyl compound is any compound that contains that carbonyl group. And there are 5 different functional groups for us in this class that contain that carbonyl group. We can have an aldehyde where a hydrogen is directly bonded to that carbonyl carbon. We can have a ketone which has 2 organic substituents bonded to that carbonyl carbon. You can have a carboxylic acid which has a hydroxyl group bonded to that carbonyl carbon. An ester which has an ether group bonded to the carbonyl carbon, or an amide which has an amino group bonded to that carbonyl carbon. In chapter 15, we're going to be focusing on the aldehyde and the ketone functional groups. Now, the oxygen in the carbonyl group is very electronegative, and so this is a polarized bond where the oxygen is always going to have a partial negative charge, and the carbon will always have a partial positive charge. Another thing to keep in mind is the geometry of the carbonyl group. Because there's a double bond between carbon and oxygen and 2 other single bonds of that carbonyl carbon, this carbonyl carbon has a trigonal planar geometry, and the bond angles are always going to be 120 degrees.